Greetings, sports fans, and welcome to a Euro round of 16 recap slash quarterfinal preview of the Big D podcast. Before I bring in the special guest, please subscribe, like, share, comment the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. We've got all kinds of content, whether it be football, UFC, golf, maybe some Olympians. I mean, you never know who might appear. So whether he's doing backflips at Busch Gardens, rooting on Orlando City, or praying for a Manchester United transfer, you know he's somewhere. He's my buddy Alex.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Dylan. I appreciate it. You also forgot the hyping up the Tua train, but we'll let that pass. Yeah, it's been a crazy summer of sports, and it's only going to get more exciting. I'm happy
Yeah,
to be here. Happy to be back on with you.
yeah, and so one event we've been interested in seeing is the European Championships, and holy cow, was that the craziest round of 16 we've ever seen.
Oh my
Goals, red cards, upsets, drama. What else could you want?
I mean, it's got everything you'd hope it would be. We had to wait a year for the tournament. It's finally able to come around, and it has not disappointed. That's for sure. Unless you're French, they might have French or German. I mean, a little bit of
Oh,
disappointment
Dutch.
there.
Oh, Dutch.
Yeah, or Dutch, exactly.
Yeah, so speaking of the French, first storyline from round of 16 is what happened to Les Blues because nobody predicted Switzerland beating France.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to finishing off games. It seems like. I mean, we've seen so many games this tournament where teams have had 2 goal leads in the second half and them just be evaporated in a second. You're making the choke. It's the
Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller choke. I mean, you've got to it's the European Championship. It's one of the biggest international tournaments that there is. I mean, you've got to play for 90 minutes or 120 minutes. Wherever you are in the game, you've got to play that out. There's no lead that is safe, especially in international tournaments. I mean, just got to finish it out. And obviously, France thought that they had Switzerland where they wanted them, and Switzerland had a different idea about that.
When I saw France line up against Switzerland, I'm like, that is very Didier Deschamps like because French usually do not play with the back three, and yet they played like a 3-4-1-2 with wing backs against Switzerland, and then like, where is Kingsley Coman? I'm like, knowing that France could have majority of the ball, Coman would have been needed.
Yeah, I mean, you have to assume being on the French side of things, you're gonna keep possession in this game. I mean, on paper, you are the better team. I mean, no, obviously Switzerland has something to say about that. They're moving on to the quarterfinals, but I mean, I think France was probably the most popular pick to win this tournament. They were my pick to win this tournament. Um, you know, you have to think with as strong of a midfield they have. You have to think that possession is the way you're going to beat the Swiss. Just keep the ball and don't let them have it. My dad, as an assistant soccer coach my entire life, said possession is key. If you have the ball, they can't score. And I mean, having that those wing options. I mean, Rabiot and Pavard, yeah, they're decent. They're decent players, but I mean, just play Pavard as a right back on a 4 in the back, and maybe have someone different than Rabiot. I don't know. It just, like you said, it seemed a little fishy and a little questionable on that starting lineup for sure.
And you know what happens when you play different formations? Guys spend 15, 20 minutes wondering what the heck to do because playing a back three and a back four are two totally different formations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the shape of the team is differently. The way you attack is differently. The way you defend is differently, and especially, I mean, no offense to the Swiss, obviously, like we've been saying, they're moving on. They moved on, but I feel like why you're not playing. If I'm France coming into this game, you're not playing Germany, you're not playing Italy, you're not playing Belgium. The powerhouses. Why make a change and risk upsetting the flow of your team against a team that you should beat? Is pretty much where I'm coming from there.
And yes, Luca Dean and Lucas Hernandez were both out, but realistically, that's why you have depth, and it seems befuddling what happened. And then Didier Deschamps also potentially screwed up by replacing Griezmann for Moussa Sissoko when Tolisso was such a critical player at the last World Cup and could bring that energy. But I'm not the manager.
Yeah. I mean, even you have Lucas Hernandez on the bench who could have just slipped in at left back for Rabiot. Why not play Varane, Kimpembe, Hernandez, Pavard in the back four? Then you have another option in the midfield. Like you said, Tolisso is a very he's a very solid option for France to have in the midfield. And
I think Hernandez was dealing with his own injury. That's why he didn't play on Monday.
right. Well, okay. Even being so, I mean, it doesn't seem like, I don't know. It seemed like they were playing it safe when they should have just stuck to what they were doing. I mean, you're France and Benzema coming off. Whether I mean, I know when you have a game going to penalty kicks, it's a long amount of time you're playing soccer. But I mean, the man has been a scoring machine for that team. I don't care how tired you are. Karim Benzema knows how to put that ball in the back of the net. And when you're in extra time in a game that you think you had wrapped up and you need a goal to move on, I'm keeping him on the field if it's me.
Yeah, so do you blame Kylian Mbappe for France losing, or was that just a team loss?
You can't blame one person. I mean, obviously, he missed the penalty. He didn't have a very impressive tournament by any means.
No.
He deserves a little bit of the blame. He doesn't deserve all the blame. I mean, it's like you said. I mean, it's a team sport. There's 11 people on the field, and with a team like France, it's not like he's their only superstar. I mean, they've got other players who have the potential to pick up the slack, like Benzema, like Pogba. So obviously you want more from Mbappe. He's probably the biggest name on that team, but he doesn't deserve all the blame. I mean, penalty kicks are a crapshoot. Pardon my French, but part of you see, but penalty kicks are a crapshoot. I mean, all it takes is one good save from a keeper. It wasn't it wasn't the best penalty. It wasn't, obviously it didn't go in, but it wasn't the worst penalty. It's not like he tried to Panenka down the middle or anything. Obviously you want more from him, but it's a team game. I don't think he deserves all of the blame for it.
So another befuddling result was Holland's, I don't know if you say frustrating, disappointing, or I don't know what kind of game that was this past weekend against
Czech Republic.
The Czech Republic, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, a little bit of all of that, I think. You get a right in the beginning of the second half, you start the half off with a red card. That's never the way you want to do it. They don't put a single shot on goal the entire game. Can't win a game if you don't put the ball on target. It's just, I mean, it's the Reggie Miller choke. I mean, you're obviously Czech Republic has had an impressive tournament. I mean, Schick probably has the goal of the tournament right now. He's been playing really well. But again, if same as in the France boat, I mean, you're one of the top level teams in the tournament, and Czech Republic, as good as they are, like we keep saying, I mean, they're moving on. So who's to say they're not the better team? But I mean, if you're looking at the world rankings and you're looking at teams on paper, I mean, Netherlands versus Czech Republic, I think most people put their money on the Netherlands in that game. So it's disappointing for them, I'm sure.
And talk about managers getting the blame. In a way, the Frank de Boer have gotten the blame because a lot of people wanted Holland, the Netherlands to play a 4-3-3, but yet he played that back three, and it really didn't help matters.
Yeah, that 3-4-1-2 is not really working out for the top teams this year, is it?
What the heck is everybody doing? Did they think they're Chelsea all of a sudden?
Yeah, I guess it works better in club football than it does in international, as you very well know. But I've my entire life I've been playing soccer. I've been playing FIFA for years. I've played soccer for years. I've never been a part of a three defender in the back formation. I don't know if it's never been one for me, but apparently it's not really working too well at the pro level either.
What's your formation?
I like either depend. It obviously depends on the team and and the strengths of the team. I prefer a 4-3-3 with two center mids and a center attacking mid, as long as you've got good wingers and a strong striker. If not a 4-3-3, I something like a four. It all depends on the strengths of your team. But if you've got a lot of solid midfield options, a 4-2-1-2. I've always, when playing myself, I've always preferred to play with two strikers because I always played up top. So I would like to play as a left striker, have someone on the right, and maybe a cam under us and a couple midfielders to really control the midfield. But it just depends on who you're playing with.
I'm either a 3-5-3 or a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2 guy when I play.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on the defenders, that's for sure. And I've never really liked the idea of wing backs because I feel like it kind of puts them in no man's land. I'd rather just play a solid left back, right back, and give them the opportunity to go up, or have wingers and have a little bit of extra strength in the midfield. But with that wing back, it kind of you're playing like a fullback, except you're attacking a little bit more, which is fine. But you can do that from a left back, right back spot anyway. So I don't know.
So another game. Well, France and Switzerland were not the only two teams putting up goals on Monday. Did you see the Croatia-Spain match?
Oh yeah, I mean, 5-3. It's sound like a hockey game. I mean, we've got the Stanley Cup Finals going on. I mean, even that's a lot of scoring for hockey, but you see it more there than you do in soccer. Credit to Spain. Those are two great teams. I love watching them play. I mean, Luka Modric is
one of my favorite players.
Yeah, I mean, he's the epitome of class. He gives his heart on the field every time he plays, and I mean, you saw that outside of the foot goal he scored a couple games back. I mean, he can do anything he wants to do with that soccer ball. So I always feel bad for him when he's on the wrong side of a result. But credit to Spain. I mean, they started the group stage so. I mean, nothing too special, but I mean, they got through the knockout stages, and that's when it counts. So you put 5 goals in, you put five goals in the net. It's not many teams that's going to beat you when you're doing that.
Yeah, if Spain could score 5 goals back-to-back games, look out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now. They had 23 shots in that game with 10 on target. I mean, you shoot the ball 23 times, you're not going to – I mean, unless you've got Werner up top.
No. Oh, no.
Sorry, I had to go there. But I mean, you're not really going to lose too many games if you've got double the amount of shots. I mean, they performed well. They kept possession. They were on the attack. They had 8 corner kicks. I mean, that's just dominating a game.
And it's weird because Spain led 3-1 in like the 85th minute. And I'm like, this game's over. And then Croatia, and then I saw like 10 minutes later, I'm like, what the?
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to look and see. That's where Spain, as we go back to earlier, I mean, that's where Spain excelled and where France kind of fell apart because, yeah, you dropped those 2 goals at the end of the game, like we've been saying. I mean, you got to finish those games out. But luckily for Spain, that gave them a kick in the you-know-what, and they kind of added a little extra flame to the fire in extra time, which France didn't quite get together.
And Luis Enrique got under his troops after 90 minutes and got them firing on all 10 cylinders, not just 8, but 10.
Yeah.
And and so go ahead and ask me about Timo Werner. You know how much I love my Chelsea guys, Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, and Antonio Rudiger.
Yeah, I mean, how did you feel your Chelsea there we go. I like that segue. How do you feel your Chelsea players have performed so far in the tournament?
A couple. I think Kai Havertz might have been Germany's best player,
I
either
agree with that.
Havertz or Kim.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, the jury's still out. I mean,
Oh gosh,
I've
don't.
seen plenty of strikers playing for United who can't put the ball in the back of the net, so I know what it's like. But he really just seems to not. I don't know what's going on with him, but it seems like moving to England really he forgot how to play. But
Did
I mean,
he?
Kai,
I think he's got the Andrei Shevchenko
yeah,
headache.
something like that. I don't know. He got bit by a radioactive spider or something, and all of a sudden I don't know. But Kai Havertz, like you said, he is a fantastic signing for Chelsea, and I mean, I agree that he was one of the best players for Germany. I mean, how about Thomas Mueller missing that one-on-one chance? I mean, I know he's not one of our club players, but it just reminded me of that. I mean,
Wait a minute. I've got a question. How many goals has Mo scored at the Euros?
I don't know, none, right?
Unless he scored against Hungary.
I don't think he did. I've seen a lot of Havertz. I mean, Werner's. I know Werner. He's had at least. I think Werner scored in this tournament. I can't quite remember.
I don't know if Werner did it. Although he missed a goal opportunity in the first half too.
Yeah, it's been. Let me see. The Hungary game. Havertz scored. Goretzka scored.
Okay, that's what I thought. And Portugal
Portugal.
scored two
Yeah,
own goals.
2 own goals. Havertz and Gosens. Yeah, and then they didn't score against France. So yeah, neither Mueller or Werner has found the back of the net, which definitely probably contributes to why they're knocked out in the round of 16. But
Thinking of the Germany England game, that was the craziest international game I've ever heard at Wembley. I mean, what were your thoughts watching that game?
obviously being a Premier League supporter, I have a slight affirmation towards England, so I was definitely rooting for them. It was an exciting game. I credit to England. I think Luke Shaw. Speaking of our club players playing in this tournament, I mean Luke Shaw has ever since Jose Mourinho left United and United signed Alex Telles. Luke Shaw has transformed to one of the best left backs in the world, and I'll say it. And I don't think it's debatable. I mean, I think he's his composure, his attacking runs, his attacking moves down the line. He's so good at making those overlapping runs and then cutting across the baseline and playing the ball into the back and playing the ball in the middle of the 18, which is how they scored that goal with Sterling. I mean, credit to England. They Germany has always been a difficult opponent for them, as we know. They haven't quite been able to get over that German hump for a while, but they 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 played a good enough game to win. It wasn't a perfect game. Obviously, Germany had a couple chances that they should have put away, but they didn't. And credit to that England team because they stepped it up.
Were you surprised Gareth Southgate played? Speaking of back threes, were you surprised Gareth Southgate played a back three to match Germany?
I mean, considering they brought what 4 right backs to the tournament, you would think that. I mean, obviously Trippier played as a right wing back, but they've got solid options in the center half. I mean, especially with Maguire coming back from injury, he missed the first 1 or 2 games of the group stage, I believe. Um, one it was 2, I think, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Mink started both games. Big Mink
right.
started against Croatia and Scotland.
But with Maguire, Stones has been a decent option for them. But the big thing is playing Kyle Walker at center back. I think the really nice thing for England is having Kyle Walker there because playing in that three center back formation. Kyle Walker has experience on the right back. He has experience playing center back, so he can kind of play that right-sided center back role pretty well. So I'm not against Southgate playing that just because he has that kind of utility player in Kyle Walker. We can do a little bit of both. So, like we've been saying, I don't really like the three in the back formations, but I mean, players like Kyle Walker, or a player like David Alaba, even if you have him in your defense, those kind of players, I don't mind it as much because they've got a little bit more of a complement to like the Harry Maguire kind of center back, who's more of your typical center half.
And then now two guys for England who've underperformed at major tournaments. Raheem Sterling, how about not one, not two, but 3 goals?
Yeah.
And Harry Kane finally scoring a Euro goal.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, being a United supporter and just watching England games, I've never been a big fan of Sterling. I think I was saying from the beginning, I think that and I know this is going to sound completely biased, but there's good reasoning behind it. I really thought Jadon Sancho should have started that game against Germany. Obviously, Southgate made the right decisions. It's all hindsight's 2020, but Jadon Sancho knows those Germans. He's been playing in the Bundesliga since he joined from Manchester City. Manchester's blue. Manchester's not blue. Manchester's red. Oh boy, that was a big slip up. But I was a little. I kind of thought he would put Sancho in, and I thought Sancho should have started over Saka. But that's just me. And then Harry Kane, he's been one of the best strikers in the world for a long time, but when it comes to international, especially in this tournament, he was getting chances. He's had shots. He's been in front of the goal. It's just he hasn't been able to get that final finish over the line. So I was happy for him. He's a great striker. He's a guy I'm a fan of. But so I was happy for him to finally get that goal for England, because how much that would have meant for him. But I think we've hit the quarterfinals enough, and we've got some or the round of 16 enough, and we've got some really nice little quarterfinal matchups. So where should we start? I mean,
can we start with the obvious one, the all?
Yeah.
Belgium, Italy.
All right, let's start with it. Let's go for it. What do you like in this game? This is going to be one of the games of the tournament, you have to think.
Well, let's see. Let's see. I want to see Mancini suit them all.
Yeah, for sure. Those Italians, man, they've got style.
Yeah, and speaking of Italy, this has been a much different Italy team than we've seen, because usually the Italians play cautious defending and just, if they get 1 goal, you're not scoring them. Well, Mancini has brought a different flair to the Italian team. I mean, Austria played a really sound game, and yet Italy just grinding out an ugly one, which is what good teams need to do at major tournaments. And now, I know it's not in Rome, but I think Italy's playing with a different mindset. Doesn't matter who's playing. I mean, literally, Italy's backup players made an impact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who's that guy? Chiesa brings so much. I mean, brings so much. I think Bernardeschi could play a whole bunch of these teams, and then you basically have Immobile. Who's the other guy?
Locatelli's been playing well off the bench for that.
Who's the guy? Bellotti? Who's the big striker? Bellotti?
Berardi or?
Oh yeah, Berardi. I mean, they've got like so
Bellotti,
many.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and if Italy ever surrendered any opportunities, they've got probably the best young goalkeeper in the world, and
Gianluigi Donnarumma.
Your Italian's better than mine. You played him in FIFA. FIFA, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I've heard Martin Tyler say that name plenty of time. Yeah, I mean, the Italians are definitely. I mean, you saw them in the group stage. They didn't concede a goal the entire group stage. I mean, it's been a very impressive start from them in this tournament. They got past Austria, who, like you said, played a good game. But I mean, and I want to kind of bounce off that point you made about how the Italians were used to seeing. I mean, the strong defense, the kind of control the game, but no flair. I mean, when you think Italy, you think of players like Verratti and Bonucci and Chiellini and Buffon. I mean, they're
Andre
they're
Lapila.
right, obviously. The veterans, the smart players, the players who they're not gonna try and make a pass that isn't the right ball. It's always gonna be thinking 2 steps in advance for Italy. But it's nice to see these Italians playing with a little bit more flair, a little more excitement, and it's been working for them. I mean, their form is incredible. But I don't care what you say about Belgium. They have a tough task in Belgium this week. I mean,
Oh yeah, I know.
obvious.
Yeah, both of us know how good Belgium can be. The only question with Belgium is a will Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard be fit even for the bench? Because if not, can Romelu Lukaku step up and maybe bag another big goal for the Red Devils tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, he was my pick for Golden Boot in this tournament. I really think that he has found his groove playing for Inter, and he's riding confidence right now. I was always a Lukaku fan, even when he left United, and even while he was at United, and there was the jokes about his touch that would go to the moon. I've always liked him. I've always thought it was a fun striker to watch for me. I like the powerful strikers and the guys who can just smash the ball into the back of the net. I mean, Italy. It's the thing that they've had this tournament is people aren't scoring on them. So this is going to be a good test for them to see if they can hold up. Because even with De Bruyne banged up, they still have solid options. Even with Eden Hazard banged up, I mean, his brother Thorgan's been playing a really good tournament as well. I mean, Belgium is just a really well-rounded team. They've got some depth. Obviously, their stars are what you think of when you think of Belgium. But they're a good team, and I don't think you can count them out, even missing De Bruyne and Hazard, even if they are not able to play.
So, who do you think wins these quarterfinal games tomorrow and Saturday?
For me, I've got as big of a high as Switzerland is on beating France. I don't see them getting past Spain. I think you might be on a high from beating probably the tournament favorites, but there's also something to be said about being on a high from scoring 5 goals in your last match. So I like Spain edging out Switzerland there. The Belgium Italy one is tough, man. I think I'm gonna ride with Belgium. I think even even though there are some question marks about the health of some of their good players, I really like this team this year. They've choked before in major tournaments, and I think this might be the one to get them past that hump. Czech Republic, Denmark. That's going to be a sneaky little good game. It's one that I don't think as many people are talking about because they're not the biggest names, but Denmark has had, I mean, probably the biggest storyline of this entire tournament.
Biggest win of the tournament by far with Ericsson's cardiac arrest and now potentially heading to Wembley.
I know. I mean, they're playing for not only one man but entire country a little bit more than I think anyone else is right now. So, I mean, Czech Republic's been playing well though. I mean, that Schick has obviously probably has the goal of the tournament right now. If I had to guess, that half field chip, but I think that's a tough game. I see extra time in that. I think someone might pull one out at the end. It could go either way. I think I might give the slight edge to Czech Republic. And then I've got England over Ukraine. I think that unless England really shoots themselves in the foot, that England really lucked out in a couple different ways in this tournament because they got on the right side of the bracket after group play because it seems like all of the powerhouses were on the other side of the bracket. Really, and getting Germany in the first round of the knockout stages was, I think, a blessing in disguise to them because England should be in the finals of this tournament. And another way they lucked out is I'm sure you probably know this, but if not, I'll give you a little piece of.
Yeah, Ukraine played 120 minutes on Tuesday.
Well, that as well, but England hasn't played a game outside of England this entire tournament. Every single
Until
game,
now,
yeah, till now. But I mean, it's there hasn't been travel for England. That's one thing that they haven't had to worry about is going from country to country. And I mean, I know it's different than in America, where a trip from LA to New England is almost a 2-day trip. It feels like, but there's something to be said for being able to stay at like a home base location for the majority of a tournament, which is what they've done so far. I mean, so I think that although they are traveling now, I mean, they're playing against Ukraine, and they've got. I mean, I've got England and the winner of the Belgium Italy game. I'm gonna say Belgium in my final right now, but
I hate to say it, Alex, but you're wrong.
yeah, we'll see. What do you got?
I've
Tell me
got
why I'm wrong.
you're wrong everywhere. I
All
think
right.
I think Switzerland will ride that momentum against France to a win against Spain. I know Spain scored 10 goals, but realistically, uh, Croatia is not the same team from the last World Cup. I mean, Luka Modric is still great, but Croatia never looked like the same side. I look more and how well the Swiss played. And yeah, true. Granit Xhaka of all people, it seems like he got the Swiss going. Well, he won't be playing them all, but I think Switzerland can. I think Switzerland can frustrate Spain.
Yeah.
And then the Italy-Belgium game, I've liked Italy throughout the whole tournament, and with the uncertainty over De Bruyne and Hazard's fitness, I think Italy will have just, and I mean just enough to win in Munich. And then on Saturday, I think Denmark's going to Wembley. I really
Yeah.
think Denmark's going to Wembley. They're not playing just for all the Danish supporters. They're playing for Christian Eriksen.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a feeling that they have that no one else in the tournament has. So if it's an advantage that they can hold close to them, and you know, but at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, you're playing hard, and yeah, you're playing for your fallen teammate, but I mean, in a sense, yeah. But I, there's only so much that can take. Yeah, but I definitely see where you're coming from, and it's definitely a valid point.
And then I would be shocked if Ukraine beats England Saturday night in Rome. I think this England team is so cohesive. And by the way, fun fact: last time that England recorded 4 straight clean sheets at a major tournament, guess what happened?
And one
The 1966 World Cup.
World Cup, yeah,
And you know who's not giving up a goal the whole tournament?
England,
Bingo.
yeah, Jordan Pickford, huh? How about that? And before the tournament, it was. I mean, I'm not following the English national team as much as you know English supporters. I'm supporting them in the tournament, but I wasn't sure who the selection was going to be between Pickford or Henderson.
Oh,
And
I think Nick Pope would have been either 1A or 1B, but he hurt himself. So Pickford's been option A, B, and C, and he's been A plus so far.
yeah, you nailed it right there. Good on Southgate for that one. But yeah, we've definitely got some differences of opinion here, but that's why they play the game. I'm excited to see how these games go. I can't wait for that Belgium Italy game. And like I said, I think that Czech Republic Denmark game is going to be a really sneaky good game too. So a lot of good games. We're getting down to the nitty gritty of it, and these teams are really going for it now. I'm excited to
Yeah,
see what happens.
yeah, and in many ways, this feels like an FA Cup. I know you can't compare the FA Cup to the UEFA Euro 2020, but this feels like an FA Cup quarterfinal where the winner goes to Wembley and the loser goes on holiday.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's I'll tell you what though, if we have half of the excitement as we had in the round of 16 that we do in the quarterfinals, I think we're in for some good games this weekend.
Amen. So thanks for hopping on, and we'll be kicking some footballs before long.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dylan. Always a pleasure.